Live from Thornbury Creek at Oneida, this is Locker Room with Local 5 Sports Director Bert Griffin. Now your host, Bert Griffin.
The Packers had a walk-off win in the Windy City, thanks in large part to a huge hand that made a major difference. And now a showdown with San Francisco looms large, with a pair of playoff teams from last year coming to Lambeau Field next week. Get ready for another edition of Locker Room. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Locker Room right here at Thornbury Creek at Oneida. We're at the golf course this year, if you didn't know by now, every single Tuesday night. Well, the Packers are sitting pretty at 7-3, keeping pace in the NFC North with not only Minnesota but Detroit moving forward, and they have a wild 5-game stretch coming up, starting with 2 games next week, not only against San Francisco on Sunday at Lambeau Field, but then you've got the Dolphins coming to Titletown for Thanksgiving. Here to talk about that and all things in the green and gold, 3-time Super Bowl champion and former running back and coach with the green and gold, Harry Sidney.
Hello there. How we doing,
What's
man?
up, buddy?
What's up, bud?
Are we shaking hands now?
Yeah, we're shaking hands. We're hugging.
We don't have to put any of that sanitizer
No, we
on
ain't got to do all that
anymore.
other stuff. No.
We're good with that.
Yeah, we're good.
Look, it wasn't sexy, it wasn't impressive, but it was a win on a day where Green Bay could have lost easily down there against Chicago on the road. And look, it's an NFC North game, and it meant something.
Well, and when you said it, you also said Chicago tried to do everything they could do to give them a win, and they did. Right. And I think the key is at the end of the year, it's not going to be about style points. Is it a win? Is it a W? Yes. That's what they needed. That's what they got. Sometimes you win ugly, but you win.
What surprised you the most? Was it how Green Bay systematically went down the field on that very first drive, made it look pretty much effortless, but then they kind of bogged down and just could not get a real rhythm going? They only had 3 real drives in the entire first half.
I know. I think they only had 7 the whole game, but what surprised me the most on that first drive was on Reed's touchdown, the communication between Love and Reed, because Reed just settled in the hole.
Yep.
If they threw it in front of him, there was a safety there. I think that and Love has made some mistakes, but you see his trust in his receivers. Mm-hmm. And any receiver wants the quarterback to trust you. And then you look at that, and then Josh Jones, his ability to run, Jacobs.
Yeah.
His ability to set up the lane and then cut back, he has great vision.
You screwed that up too, because I know I've done it before.
Oh,
Jones,
yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Jones, Jacobs. By the way, Josh Jacobs is supposed to be our guest tonight. He's on his way, apparently. We'll find out sooner than later. The big thing, though, too, when you look at the way this offense played, you can't. Okay, this isn't Detroit right now, putting up 40 a game.
No,
right?
no.
They're going to have their moments. Jordan Love has been banged up. But when they need to make a play, they did so. And whether it was running the football, I mean, he only had 13 completions?
That's it, but the thing about it is everybody is contributing, from the tight end to Wilson, the backup running back. When he gets in there, he hits it. You got, like you said, everybody, the Dobbs will drop him, but then he'll make a heck of a catch. You got Jalen Reed that you run the swing stuff, but then he goes down the middle, touchdown.
Right.
Everybody wants to get in the end zone, which is when you have an offense like that, makes playing defense a little bit fun.
And look, when Love catches them with 12 people on the field, I know Favre was good at it. Rodgers took it to another level.
Part of the quarterback DNA in Green Bay, man.
Right?
Yeah.
You are a coach here. Do you teach that when you're watching they're making their key personnel switches, and you're like, oh, that big D lineman's not going to get off the field in time. Let's go.
Well, you can do that when you're in command of your game. You can do that when you're not thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff. And you see Jordan, you see Rodgers and Favre all be able to do that because they understand the substitution rule. But the fact is that Love has that arm that can deliver the ball from any angle, any place.
Mm-hmm. Well, and look, and at the very end of the game, too, look, Carl Brooks, he was a guest on our show a couple weeks ago.
Previous guest, yeah, it's some
and
good luck thing.
He gets that big paw up there, and Matt LaFleur said after the game, Rich Bisaccia and the special teams coaches saw something where the Bears were vulnerable on that interior, and I know they petitioned the league apparently.
About that penalty, about roughing the center.
Oh, you can't rough the center.
You can't do that to the center, but they did it. But got away with it.
But they got away with it. But it's still he still had to go make the play.
Well, and that's the great thing about it. When you're winning the game, it's up to somebody different to make the play. And the key is, like I said earlier, man, in the National Football League I coached and I played, I've never played under a coach that was scared to win the game.
Right.
And that coach of Everfist from Chicago, with a minute to go, with 30 seconds to go in the game and the timeout, and you settle for a 45-yard field goal when the guy's excellent from inside 30-some yards. That's why the Bears are the Bears.
Why didn't they make one more middle of the field pass to a tight end or a wheel route to a running back or something to get another 8-9 yards? To me, that's inexplicable. How bad that was.
You can fake the dive, the quarterback keep around the end. You have the outside guy do an out and up and throw it. And okay, so it doesn't work out. You see what there. But when the head coach comes on the TV, well, I was scared of fumbling. I was scared of this and that. I mean, if you're in the locker room, you're going, I'm playing for a guy that doesn't want to win.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like at the end.
That's why the Bears are the Bears.
And when you're at home, you can't make those mistakes.
At home, yeah.
I mean, come on now. You have a chance to finally get there.
Get the monkey off. 10-0. Well, 0-10.
And then all of a sudden, look at if they win, then the Packers suddenly fall to 6-4. These guys are right. Now you have four
changes
teams.
The game, changes the flow of the rest of the year.
The whole NFC North changes on this one game. I know it's not a must-win. It's only week 11. We're halfway through the season. But this was big for both teams, and it just shows you where each of these two franchises are going.
Well, and it's week 11, but when you go week 16 and you count up the victories, you don't go, oh, man, but we just barely won that one.
Yeah.
No, we say win.
And look, final thing on Chicago.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is not bad. I would say this. I was impressed. I haven't really watched the Bears much. This was a game where I thought to myself, they got a little something there as long as they can figure out and groom him in the right way.
Well, what happened is you had a new offensive coordinator that was calling different plays. And you look at they were getting the ball out of his hand quick, and then at the end of the game they have him holding it on. Then he's holding on to the ball when he needs to get real quick. That's why the Bears are the Bears.
And look, he got his yards. He got the numbers. They had time of possession.
Stat-wise, Bears did a lot of
When you look at the film, you go, how did Green Bay win this game? Doesn't matter. They did.
Fingertip.
Yep.
By fingertip, one hand. There you go.
So you're saying the Packers gave the Bears the finger?
You can say you can interpret it whatever you want, man.
They might have just a little bit, right?
Just a little what?
For the
one finger. Not this finger. For the right finger, this finger.
I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
You'll get fired, not me.
No, I did this finger.
This one. No, all right, that one. All right, when we come back, time now. Guess what time it is?
What is it?
It is time now for our pivotal performance powered by IBEW Local 158. Look, in a game where there were several decent performances, Christian Watson, a career-high 150 yards receiving on just 4 catches, and he didn't even find the end zone. Awareness, hands, situational intelligence, the dude was on fire. It's clear he and Jordan Love, when they're both healthy, they can take over a game. Christian Watson with our pivotal performance powered by local IBEW.
4 times, 150 yards, but the cool thing about it is what you saw between Love and Christian Watson is nothing but trust. Because there was a time he probably shouldn't have thrown up there, but he went and got it. And when your guy goes and get it, you believe that, you know what, I just got to put it near him. And if you have that, 4 catches, 150 yards, and you get the running game going with the other guy stepping up, Packers can become a dangerous team.
Well, and you say that because that one was downfield, double coverage. And you played at Soldier Field, like in the sun, late November.
He wouldn't have got it, though.
And then the one he dove for and then got up and ran another 40 yards, that was pretty impressive, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, put him in position to win the game. But when you have a receiver like that you can put it up and say, just go get it, and he goes and gets it, he thinks he's open all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
When we come back, we'll have plenty more on Locker Room. We hope to hear from Josh Jacobs. We'll have our keys to the game. We'll go in the zone with Cameron is there. We'll hear from Packer wide receiver Romeo Dobbs coming up after the break. Welcome back to Locker Room right here at Thornberry Creek at Oneida. Hi, Chase. Hi, Max. Hi, everyone out there in the crowd. Big group here tonight. Josh Jacobs might be on his way. We'll see. I know we've kind of talked about it all week long. Let's talk about him for a moment. Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, different styles, different players, but I think we know now why Goody went out and got him.
Yes.
There is a different presence in that offensive backfield with pretty much the exact same offensive line. I mean, David Bakhtiari's been done for a couple of years. Rasheed Walker's taken over at left tackle. Josh Myers got hurt at center. He was out for a little bit. They move Elton Jenkins around. Sean Ryan has filled in nicely. Like, this team has a different dynamic with Josh.
Well, and the different dynamics is with Jones, you had to hit it and go.
Yeah.
So an offensive lineman hits quick and then he's gone. But what you see about Josh uses his eyes, his visions. He sets up blocks. He'll lean one way the whole time, cutting back the other way.
Yeah.
And so he creates those holes. And once he hit it, he has a burst. You like what he's doing. I mean, he's the top 3 rusher in the National Football League.
Yep.
And I think it comes to after contact in the top 4 or 5.
Right.
So when you have that, you also have a presence that he can wear people down.
Yeah.
He can wear and Wilson, you put him in, change him up, but would you have in Josh's? Well, there's a reason he's 2 Pro Bowls and drafted in the first round from Alabama.
Right. And you know what? What I liked most in that Bears game was the fact that one run, he pointed at that DB and was like, "Come on, bring it."
Yeah.
And the
Didn't
guy
run out of bounds.
And he just ran him over and then just bounced out of bounds. Didn't even go to the ground. He's got that little attitude. Like my oldest son pointed this out when they got him. He said, "I think he can be a better Frank Gore." Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I had to think about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, beside Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton, who you played against, like Frank Gore's number 3 all time with 16,000 yards rushing.
And I said it, and we don't. He's a Frank Gore with more wiggle.
Yeah.
He has more wiggle because he'll go in where Gore sees it, he's going to lower his head and go. Well, he'll start and then he'll cut back. He has great vision and great feet.
Yeah. Well, and look, he's added a different dynamic. We had Xavier McKinney on the show earlier this season. He's brought a different element to that secondary, that is for sure. These 2 guys have been difference makers in the free agency market. The last time you were on the show, Preston Smith was actually on the team. They got rid of him in a trade. Yes, there's a money issue there. He was going to make $12 million next year.
Oops.
And he's over 30 years old. But Brenton Cox Jr. There's some younger players.
Hungry
Brooks,
guys that
Wooden.
won opportunities to make their name a household name.
Yeah, and they've done that so far, so you can see why they were okay splitting with a veteran like that. All right, every week we go in the zone.
Yes.
Presented by Thornberry Creek and Oneida Nation. Here's this week's edition with Cameron Is There.
Here with Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs. Romeo, a couple years into your career, what have you learned about your game from year 1 to now over the stretch of time?
I can play ball, man. I mean, still find ways to grow, learn, and play ball in this league because as time goes, you just continue to find ways to elevate your game. And I think I'm doing pretty legit at where I'm at. So,
where do you feel like your game has grown?
I would say in all areas, from catching the football to running routes, at the line of scrimmage, blocking the perimeter, just understanding football, being situationally aware on the field, and I look forward to just more growth moving forward.
How do you feel like your approach to the game has changed from when you first started playing to college to now the NFL?
Oh, I mean, night and day different. I know in this league you must be technically sound. I mean, this is not a league you just run around and playing, You got to understand you got to understand your opponent. You got to understand the game. And I've hit it before. You just got to be situationally aware at all costs.
Focusing on the current and where you are now, what have you learned about Green Bay and the place you play here that you've fallen in love with? It seems like this whole team has, whenever we talk to them, they love this atmosphere. They love that it's all about football and it's kind of a quaint and subdued town.
Green Bay it's real different. I have not been in any other building but this one, and I will say that just being here, with this being my 3rd year, it's pretty unique in a special way.
Is there anything that you've now experienced in the NFL that maybe you didn't expect when you first got to the league?
That's a great question. I wouldn't speak on that because I know as time goes on just throughout this league, things change day in and day out, week in and week out. So, I mean, I just look forward to that process.
All righty, thank you, fellas. Not a man of a lot of emotion, but he is a solid ball player without question. And like you've said before, have you seen a hands catcher since Sterling Sharp? Like a guy who's got the mitts? I mean, Derek Mays, he only had a cup of coffee.
Derek Mays.
But Derek Mays had great hands.
My old San Francisco teammate, John Taylor, was a hand catcher. Roman Dobbs, like the last scene where he said with the ball's getting to his body like that, I'm like, he's dropping that one.
Well,
because he got too close to his body. Everything he does, he snatches out the air, which is a great thing.
He can make all the hard catches, but sometimes the easy ones
get
like,
you.
Hey, come on now.
That's him.
Doing it all.
He's a snatcher.
All right, when we come back, we'll have plenty more. We'll have our keys to the game. Plus, it is time now for our Easy Tab Fan Cam. The Green Bay Grinch is in the house. Don't go anywhere. Here on Locker Room. Welcome back to Locker Room. A pair of young cheeseheads in attendance here at Thornberry Creek. We're at the golf course here. We're doing the show. He is 3-time Super Bowl champion.
I love the
Harry
cheeseheads, man.
You know, they look familiar, Harry. Who were those kids?
I don't know, man. I've probably seen. Oh, it's the cheese that looks familiar.
Oh, is that what it was?
There you go. I'm confused.
Look, do you get nostalgic at all when the Niners come to town? Or is that even a big deal to you? You played for them as a player, won 2 Super Bowl rings with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, you mentioned John Taylor, all those guys in the 80s. You came here for a year. You were a coach for, what, 7 years? 7 years? Okay, so and you won a Super Bowl here in '96 with Brett Favre, Mike Holmgren, all those. Does Niners-Packers matter? Because it seemed like back in the late 90s, it was Niners and Cowboys and Green Bay.
It was a battle.
That was it.
Yeah. But, you know, the thing about it, as you get to a certain age, you just look back at the journey and smile.
Yeah.
Because everything is part of everything.
Yeah.
You know, you say San Francisco, but if it wasn't for San Francisco, it wouldn't be Green Bay.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Green Bay, so it's all that. I'm just happy that I get to watch 2 good teams play.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this matchup? Look, San Fran, they kind of
wounded. They're wounded. San Francisco's wounded.
They let one slip away. They haven't had Christian McCaffrey for most of the year. He's back. Brock Purdy is one of those guys. Sometimes he has a game where you go, wow, and then you have another game where you go, what is that?
The key to the game is Big Williams, the left tackle, playing, and is Kittle playing, because tight ends give Green Bay trouble.
Yep.
And with that, and so much is about line of scrimmage, but what we've seen from the Packers offensive line, they are willing to establish the line of scrimmage. The defensive line is battle. With the injuries to San Francisco, it comes down to whoever wins the pitch, like it always has. And right now, I got to say Green Bay's healthier.
Yeah. Well, and you had the luxury of being on some really good teams that were always.
I was a little spoiled.
You were a little spoiled.
Yeah.
That were in contention. So you had something to play for the entire season. This team is 5-5, and San Fran is coming in here desperate, like the Bears, just like the Bears were last week. So those are games that you got to put them away, otherwise they're going to fight you right to the end.
Well, for San Francisco, in their mind, they're coming and thinking this has to be the get right game, because they can't afford to. This is do or die for them. They can't afford to get another game lost in the NFC.
Yep.
So you're going to get San Francisco's best.
All right, when we come back, we'll have our keys to the game against the 49ers, who are coming to town on Sunday. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Locker Room. We are here at Thornberry Creek at Oneida. Romeo Dobbs with a little love, making a little heart down there in Chicago.
A little heart, actually.
After the game. Are you surprised that 11 in a row? I mean, real quick, I got to get to keys to the game, but no, when you dominate, it's not really even a rivalry anymore.
No, you got to be a fighter to be in a rivalry, but to let anybody dominate you 11 straight games, this is National Football League.
The Packers are big brother.
Yeah.
Bears are little brother. All right, time now for our keys to the game, brought to you by the Dispensary. First and foremost, continue running the football, create more turnovers, had a little bit of a drought lately, and limit Christian McCaffrey, right?
Limit him, make big plays, and don't let them make big plays.
For Harry Sidney, I'm Burt Griffin. Thanks for tuning in to Locker Room. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.